The Ashton Canal, excuse me, the Ashton, not a good start is it? Let's start again. The Ashton Canal leaves the Rochdale Canal at Ducey Street, the junction in central Manchester, and climbs for 6.7 miles, that's 10.8 kilometres, through 18 locks. It passes through Ancoats, Holt Town, Bradford, Clayton, Openshaw, Droylsden, Fairfield and Ardenshaw. It makes a head-on junction with the Huddersfield Narrow Canal. That was formerly a full-size Huddersfield Canal. Whitelands Basin in the centre of Ashton-under-Lyne, that's at Bradford. That's where the canal meets the Huddersfield Canal. The canal passes by the venue of the 2002 Commonwealth Games. Apart from joining the Rochdale and Huddersfield Narrow Canals, this Ashton Canal, it only currently connects with one other canal. It used to connect but a lot of others, especially as it went lower down into Manchester. Just short of Whitelands at Duckingfield Junction. That's Portland Basin. It's a short arm. It crosses the River Tame on the Tame Aqueduct, and it makes a head-on junction with the Peak Forest Canal. There were once 4 important connections besides the ones I've mentioned. Other branch canals: Islington Branch Canal in Ancoats, Stockport Branch Canal from Clayton to Stockport, Heaton Norris, the Hollingwood Branch Canal from Fairfield to Hollingwood, and the Fairbottom Branch Canal itself is a branch of Hollingwood Branch Canal from Waterhouses down to Fairbottom. There was to be a 5th branch, a bit like the connection between the Bury Bolton Canal to the Rochdale Canal, which never actually was opened. There was a 5th branch canal, itself a branch of the Stockport Branch Canal, from Reddish to Beat Bank in Denton, but this was abandoned before it was ever completed. So there's 2 canals. The Bury Bolton Canal was actually fully completed and never used, because they were charging to use that section to join the Rochdale Canal, but there was also a bridge from the Bridgewater Canal that could drop canal barges into the Rochdale Canal. They lowered their charges and made it, unnecessary to have an extra branch canal. I like to add interesting points that you might not realise, but I'm walking the full length of this. I'd say it's in a bit of a disused state, shall we say, but it's still fully operational. You can use this canal for barges. Many of the canal fittings and the actual locks are actually all Grade 2 listed structures, and that's why the canal is still here. That's an interesting fact if you ask me. Probably not so interesting if you're not interested in canal history. So the Ashton Canal received its Act of Parliament in 1792. It was built to supply coal from Oldham and Ashton-under-Lyne, to Manchester. So just before we go any further down towards the town centre, the place, I'm just going to try and explain a little bit. So now it looks rough. Over there, this street just ends in the modern day, but those houses, like the end of the 1800s, they'd have been built, and here would have been a mill on this grass area where the trees are, and this would have been an original bridge over to the other side, because the road wouldn't have just ended there. That's what I'm trying to say. There may have been more terrace, not a mill, but that's what these open areas are. It was a very run down area at one time. So the older buildings, like we just saw, the red brick, are very few and far between. Went through the Great Depression, of course, Manchester, and was basically in rack and ruin by the end of the Second World War, and then they started to rebuild. Pretty much all of Greater Manchester was rebuilt. Oh. Shall we say updated? So the canal has concrete bits, but the original stone is there, and the original street is there. So we've actually come to some form of conclusion, apart from Salby Bridge over to this section. So we'll go through here now to the next block. That'll link up to all the other videos. And we've pretty much got the full route Manchester. So I'll just walk down and finish off. That side of the canal's been replaced. This modern estate wouldn't have originally been here. Like I say, it was mills all the way along. And this is the original stone. Under here will be cobbles. We'll finish on the last lock gate. The first section between Ancoats Lane and Ashton-under-Lyne and Hollingwood was completed 1796. Bridgewater Canal is probably the oldest, then this canal. Remember, there's sections of canals all over, and you only interlink them. It's a bit like making them into a circular, like they do with motorways. I can tell that stone a mile away. That's the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Company. They love using that black brick and the style of the bridge. I think it's now a road, but that's definitely Lancashire Yorkshire Railway. So there's all different branches and they've linked it into a circular system. It's actually nationwide, the canal system. Just like the motorways and roads are, well they were. So followed by the lines I've mentioned before, Heaton Norris and Fairbottom branches. They were finished in 1797, although they were planning to connect them all to the Rochdale Canal and make that the circular central canal. They were actually all opened as isolated waterways and connected at a later time. That includes the Rochdale Canal itself. It was a shorter branch canal. There was also Hollingworth. It was a shorter, and all these shorter sections were connected by the locks later on. Now Benjamin Outram was retained, that means commissioned or paid, to complete the final section between Ancoats Lane and the Rochdale Canal, including the Piccadilly Basin. So we're going to take a look at those areas today. That's the areas we haven't taken a look at. The Piccadilly Basin will be at the end, and we'll start the next video in the Piccadilly Basin area as we go down into Castlefield Basin. So I'm going to try and include Store Street Aqueduct. It's a rather unique little bridge aqueduct. It's built at a 45-degree skew. It is believed to be the first major such structure in Britain and the oldest still in use today. The section was completed by 1798, but the necessary extensions to the Rochdale Canal and all the proprietors and the contracts to be signed to the Bridgewater Canal was not fully completed till the year 1800. So although the Huddersfield Narrow Canal was open as far as Wool Road by 1798, as I've said. Neither it nor the Peak Forest Canal were actually complete, so they were connected to sections of canal that would eventually become Peak Forest Canal and Huddersfield Narrow Canal, but they're not completed just yet. In fact, it'd be another 10 years after the completion of most of the infrastructure when these areas were completed. I would imagine the Peak Forest Canal was very technical, a lot of engineering and a lot of rocks to shift, etc. So I reckon that's probably what slowed that down, just the fact it was very rural. The canal actually did struggle financially in its early years because it had to rely on just the local trade. It was set up to be connected to all the other canals and it would have made a small fortune, but as it was incompleted, it was struggling to make any money. 1806 it had just paid its dividend, which is not making a profit basically. It's paid off what it's cost to build the canal. But luckily, at the start of the Industrial Revolution, from 1806, it prospered until the completion from the railways and later the road transport systems. That's what greatly diminished the traffic, and through traffic had ended by 1945 on the canal, and most of the other canals were being shut down by this point. Traffic on the branches ended in the 1930s. Following nationalisation in 1947 and 48, traffic did not revive and all traffic had ceased by 1958. After that time also the maintenance was run down, so it started to fall into disrepair. You have to look after these things. They actually are a structure that needs, constant care because they get damaged, which costs money. So then the skill set of the navvies starts to change to the railway engineers. So the experienced people who did look after these canals start to disappear as well. There's very few. So they're going to go into disrepair forever and disappear unless enthusiasts start to take an interest, which we have, shall I say. I might be just documenting it, but if ever this gets, they say, oh, we're going to decommission it forever because we need to build on that site, I'm documenting it as in we filmed it the full length and what it looked like and its uses. So I think that's possibly a more practical thing to do. Yeah, so the maintenance was run down. By 1961, just a few years later, combined with the vandalism, the canal had become unnavigable. And the retention for pleasure seemed unlikely as well. So it started to get filled in with landfill. So what's happened over time? The Ashton Canal was one of 7 stretches of canal formerly designated as remainder or reminder waterways. So Manchester, UK, brief videos at the time with Stephen Goddard. Hello everybody. Just going to walk under Juicy Street Bridge, and this is the start of the Ashton Canal, which joins to the Rochdale Canal, which I'm leaving behind. So any sections of canal that were still filled with water and trapped, by the land surrounding it, were then designated as remainder waterways, so they were protected. There was 7 in the Manchester area. They were reclassified by the British Waterways Act of 8th of February 1983. A total of 82 miles of canal were upgraded to cruising waterway standard, so they can be used for leisure. So this is Piccadilly Basin. As we walk around, we've got a bridge here. We're going to go under. And pressure from the Inland Waterways Association, combined with the formation of the Peak Forest Canal Society led to a campaign to reopen the Ashton, with major organised volunteer clearance of the section from Droylsden in September 1968, known as Operation Ashton. So further campaigning and the growth of local authority support led to its restoration, along with the adjacent Lower Peak Forest Canal, and reopening on the 1st of April 1974. The restoration of just these two canals opened up the Cheshire Ring again, and immediately, and still is, was popular for 1 week leisure cruise circling much of the East Cheshire area. With the opening of the southern Pennine canals, the Ashton is now also part of the South Pennine Ring, Rochdale and Huddersfield Narrow, and the longest Pennine Ring of all, Outer Pennine Ring, Leeds and Liverpool and Huddersfield Narrow canals. Now, we are in Greater Manchester. I'm not going to say anything because I'm from Manchester, but let's just say it used to be common to hear reports of unfortunate incidents along the Ashton Canal, such as thefts and people being attacked and threatened on their boats, near their boats, intimidated, unnerving behaviour on the part of some local youths and children, I should imagine. But this for a time caused the boats to go through in convoys, which tackled the problem because people love their canal so much, basically. Today the Ashton Canal is increasingly valued by the communities through which it passes, and though many boaters still advise others to cover the Ashton during early hours or quickly and not in school holidays, reports of problems often turn out to be the repeated telling of old stories. I'm going to walk along there. I don't think that is actually, it's something to fear. You can't walk around being scared all your life. And I don't like people saying that about my city. However, incidents do still occur, as in August 2014 when a number of boats were attacked by hooded youths. I think they robbed them. I think that's the main thing. The most interesting point there, police force wasn't actually formed until the year 1838, when the future Prime Minister at the time was Home Secretary, and it was Sir Robert Peel. So there was no police force until 1838, and I bet there was no such crimes from the years 1800 to 1838. I bet it was very unlikely that piracy would have taken place on the canal. Just an interesting point, I think. So as we can see, it's a much narrower lock than the Rochdale Canal. There's poverty in the area, there's all sorts of things going on in the cities that I'm not an expert on, so I'm not going to judge, that's what I'm trying to say. So while we're on the subject, the locks are renowned for things like debris, shopping trolleys, wheelie bins, rocks, etc., which can result in blocked lock gates. The Canal and River Trust workers are soon on site to clear any reported incidents. Portland Basin is a good overnight mooring after ascending the Ashton locks for those who do not wish to proceed beyond Romilly. So people are travelling around here. I know that the canal people actually have a lot of trouble with each other over the moorings and who pays what toll on what canals, so that they're not perfect. The middle classes aren't exactly perfect when it comes to confrontation. So there you go. I know there's a lot of controversy down at the Castlefield Basin on who should moor there. and who is allowed to travel through there without paying or with paying, etc. etc. The Canal and River Trust workers also are soon on site there to try and sort out any disgruntled customers, I suppose. So it's a fully active canal and it functions in the modern world with all its inner city problems. So a map of the Hollingwood Branch Canal, which becomes Ashton Canal, obviously. The Old Lane Colliery. You've got the Branch Canal, would have come in Werneth Branch Canal, Hollingwood Basin, Hollingwood Locks, 1792 proposed link to the Rochdale Canal. Route is now cut out by the M60 motorway, and I think we saw that connection in the playlist near Hollingworth Lake, and I said I thought it was a filter or a drain. It seems that this is the proposed link to the Rochdale Canal, and that was also. So it is on this canal. Cutler Hill Road Bridge, it's near there. Crime Lake, I don't even want to start. Crime Lane Aqueduct, Hollingwood Branch Canal. It's like it's famous for crime. I don't even understand that. Now we have a barge in action. Okay, thank you. Fennyfields Bridge Wharf, A627. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I can't. Crime Lane. So I'm going to call this an extended feature of the video, just to explain that to follow the Ashton underline canal, I will start a new playlist, because basically I love that canal already, this canal. And we mustn't forget we're still on the Rochdale Canal. I'm just explaining how it links. So I'm going to walk up, finish off explaining some more about the Ashton, but then I'll flick back and compare the size of lock gates to and the Rochdale Canal, and that's just going to end. It's just an explanation that the start of the Ashton Canal is attached to the Rochdale Canal, and we've got to follow it into Castlefield where it does conclude. Anyway, it goes down to Bardsley Bridge, A627, that's the road, and it's from the Fairbottom Branch Canal. So there's lots of little branches we're going to try and have a look at. So we're going to complete all the sections of the Rochdale Canal now, as you might be aware of, as you've seen. We started off at Chadderton. So as we can see, it's a much narrower lock than the Rochdale Canal. We've come down, there's a section just from Chadderton we missed, and also through Failsworth, to Failsworth, and then we're going to link up here to the Ashton, and we've covered everything then all the way down from Hollingworth Lake. There's no sections that we've missed or branches that we haven't spoke about. There's water houses and locks, River Medlock Aqueduct. So I want to try and get the Medlock, the railway aqueducts. We may get the Medlock, or we may have already filmed the Medlock, because we're walking up the canal, and really we should walk down the canal, but we joined it at the base, so that might be unusual anyway. The Ashton Canal, Greater Manchester. Manchester, UK. Brief videos of time with Stephen Goddard.